Welcome to the Flame Away recipe. The basis of this recipe is actually burdock tea. It's burdock root tea. Here are the actual chunks of burdock root that you would use. Throw those into a tea. Check that out. This is a really interesting super herb. It's ever prevalent everywhere. It's all over the northern hemisphere. And one of the things about burdock is it has this association with heat and fire and flame and burns. And in fact, there are all kinds of remedies using burdock root, burdock leaf against burns. So it has this kind of ability to draw heat out. And that's why we use it as the basis of this Flame Away anti-inflammatory recipe. And that's going to come in last. The way I normally do things, we put the liquids in last. We've got an unsweetened almond milk right here. So this is a normal almond milk you'd have. You take the almonds, you soak them in water, the purest water you got, preferably spring water, and then overnight they're going to plump up. 12 hours later, you're going to actually pour that water off, refill it up with water, and then blend it, and then pour that into a cheesecloth and strain out the milk. And you can take the pulp and use it in other uses. For example, you can use it in crackers, or you can feed it to your dog, or you can toss it into your compost pit. And this almond milk is now even showing up in stores, but it's not the same. There's a lot of additives that are showing up in these almond milks in the stores, and we like to just go back to the original. It's a great way to get that milky consistency, that fat, to kind of act as a little bit of a buffer for some of these ingredients without having to go to dairy milk or cow's milk, because there's a lot of trouble with the quality of cow's milk today, or even goat's milk. Plus, it's lower on the food chain. Now we go over to here. This is where we start with our formulation of our Flame Away. We've got our NutriBullet here. We've got Shilajit right here. So this is Shilajit, S-H-I-L-A-J-I-T, Shilajit. And this is one of the premier adaptogens coming out of Ayurvedic medicine. In fact, it's one of the high altitude super herbs on the planet. And it's not actually an herb, it's a resin. It's a tonic resin, and it oozes out of the Himalayas even as high as 15,000 feet elevation. So we're talking about 5,000 meter elevation. This stuff oozes out. This is indicating something to us because of that extreme area where it comes out, that extreme altitude. It helps us to deal with the extremes. It's an adaptogen for that reason, and it's a cold weather adaptogen as well. So it helps to actually move temperature around. That's one of the things that Shilajit is able to do. It helps you to be warm when you need to be warm, cool when you need to be cool. It adapts. If you're overinflamed, then you've got too much heat in your body, and it's going to help cool you off. It's also an extraordinary source of minerals. 70 plus minerals in Shilajit. If you read about it on the internet, you'll find all different kinds of numbers, but it's an extremely rich source of minerals. It has a smoked chocolate-like flavor, and therefore it goes really good with chocolate, and also goes really good with other herbs. So it's a nice carrier, and it can make almost like a coffee type of flavor come alive in these types of beverages. So if you were a coffee drinker, Shilajit is a really great adjunct. It's a great additive to add in. Very highly ranked in Ayurvedic medicine, supposedly for 10,000 years. And the story goes is that there were some great yogis up in the Himalayas who saw a bunch of monkeys eating Shilajit and rolling around and having the best time ever. And that's how the Vedics started into using Shilajit as a tonic super herb resin. It's a resin, it's an ooze that comes out of the Himalayas. Next over, we have some cinnamon. Now, cinnamon is a great anti-inflammatory antioxidant by itself, but it has this nice synergy with the Shilajit. Shilajit is pretty strong, so we need to kind of work with that flavor profile a little bit. And we're actually going to use all this cinnamon. So we've got a nice teaspoon of cinnamon in there. We're going to get that all in. The next really incredible ingredient here, a favorite. I grow it actually. This is some of the Noni Land Mucuna right there. Check this out. I'm going to show you what it looks like in its raw state. There is a Mucuna bean right there. The fabled Mucuna matata. It means no worries. And if you take that, extract it, you can create powders like this. So we've got it in a powdered form. That's Mucuna. This is the great anti-stimulant that comes out of the Amazon, that comes out of Ayurvedic medicine, that comes out of Africa, that comes out of Southeast Asia. It's been used in all of those places. It's a real anomaly because nobody's sure where it's from. Is it from the Old World, the New World? It's been used for thousands of years in India. It's been used for thousands of years in the Amazon. Same plant. So we're going to pop it in here as an adaptogen, as an anti-stimulant, and really as a nutritive that's going to give us a really interesting ingredient, which is dopamine. This is one of the great precursors for one of the most important neurotransmitters. So we know now, when somebody gets the shakes, when the Parkinson's sets in, that there's a dopamine problem. And in fact, DOPA should shut down symptoms of Parkinson's. That's been shown in clinical studies for years. So I started looking at what was the best natural source of DOPA. Turns out it's mucuna, and mucuna and chocolate have been eaten together for thousands of years. Mucuna and shilajit have been consumed together for thousands of years, and we're just approaching that here. We're actually going to get some of those magical properties of these amazing synergistic herbs and resins together again right in your own kitchen, which is a lot of fun. One of these great and wonderful anti-inflammatories that fits into our flame away recipe here is boswellia. This is frankincense. This is actually the dried and powdered resin of frankincense. So there's a resin in the bark of the boswellia family. It's medicinal all over the world. There's boswellias in the Arizona desert. There's boswellias in Costa Rica. And in every one of those places, wherever I've been, when somebody goes, oh, that's a boswellia, I know that I can actually score that tree with a knife, and it will secrete a sap, and I can eat that sap. Or I can dry it and use it to make medicines. And that's what's been done here. It's been dried and powdered. And this is, of course, the king of all essential oils in the essential oil world. You make an essential oil out of the frankincense. But here we get to actually eat it. Very powerful anti-arthritic, one of the greatest there is. Okay, now we're going to take our almond milk. We're going to take our burdock anti-inflammatory tea, put it all together, and make a nice little recipe. Here we go. One of the things about the NutriBullet is we have a maximum line right there, but I usually go over it. Just a little bit, even a little bit more. Well, we got it all in there, great. Okay, let's put on the extractor blades. We're ready to rock and roll. But before we do that, let's see if we got one more ingredient here. I think we've got some honey over here. I could tell right away that this is going to be a tough one to kind of put down unless we get a little bit of a sweetener in there. You can use honey, you can use stevia, you could use lucuma as well. Lucuma would go wonderful in this. Lucuma and mucuna have a really nice connection with each other. That's a really delicious combination. So let's do 2 just to make this really palatable. I don't have to do this. I didn't have to go this direction, but just to kind of make it a little bit easier on our film crew who's going to be trying this as soon as we're done with this recipe, I'm going to put the honey in. Okay, let's get it going here. There's the extractor blades. We got it all together. We're going to pop it on. And, well, let's shake it up a little bit, and launch. This is going to be some potent stuff. Here we go. Love this about the NutriBullet. Check it out. All you have to do to clean this, you just go here like that, turn that on. That's it. It's done. That's the easiest thing to clean ever. Love that about the NutriBullet. Here we go. Let's pour into here. Got a big head on that one. It's got a lot of foam. We'll let that settle out a little bit. Actually, I'll drink it from here so we can see that the foam's a little bit less. We can get right into it. Wow, it's amazing. Shilajit's really pungent, really punchy. It comes in, but the cinnamon really just exactly cancels it out. So this is a really well-designed recipe and allows you to get that shilajit in really easy. Nice little cinnamon drink too. Great, great flavor. Fantastic. Flame away. Try it at home. Now we're ready for the very green drink. And what we're doing here is we're setting up a strategy so you can take whatever green powder that you travel with, that you use, that you have when you're on the go, and you can deliver it in a way that's really delicious. And that's what this all is. This is like accoutrement to deliver the key green ingredients. These are right here, chlorella, this is spirulina, and this is any green powder that you really like that you've kind of focused on. We've got to keep doing that to keep our body alkaline and create that antioxidant protection, especially if you're traveling in planes. But even if you're in cars, when you're going down a road and you've got that motor going and the dynamo's going and you're separated from the earth because the car's not grounded, you start building up a static charge. And there is such a thing as car lag, and you do get radiation from the car, especially hybrid cars. There's a huge amount of EMF in that car. And so it's a subtle irritant. And what you got to do is you got to protect yourself at the cellular level with those green pigments. Spirulina's been here since before there was an atmosphere. Chlorella's been here since before there was an atmosphere. So that's kind of what we're doing here, is we're going to prepare a delivery system for those green powders and make it delicious. Let's get started. We've got our NutriBullet right there, so we're going to start filling things up. First thing is we've got tocotrienols. Tocotrienols are delicious. They're a low glycemic sweetener. They're vitamin E. There's 4 tocopherols and there's 4 tocotrienols. So we're getting all those tocotrienols right there. That's basically a great anti-inflammatory. It's a really wonderful thing for the joints. It's great for varicose veins. We're popping that in there mostly for flavor on this particular recipe. Great antioxidants too. That can't be put behind as well. Over here we've got one of the great super roots of the world, maca. This is always in our recipes. It's a great Jing substance. It's increasing vigor and vitality when you do it like 4 times a week, 3 or 4 times a week, and kind of loses its potency when you do it every day. So it's something you do kind of 4 times a week, and that's how we work with maca. If you do too much, it can throw the flavor, but we're going to get this in here, get all those hormone precursors in there, so we really get that green drink, that green powder delivered in a wonderful way. Whenever you're doing any kind of a blended smoothie, it's nice to have something that has a gelling quality, a demulcent quality, berries can provide that, or a fat. And the fat is like a cushion, and that provides that long-term burn fuel so that you can do a drink like this and not feel like it was too stimulating and then crash, but keep that long energy going all day long. And the way we're doing that is with combination of 2 things. We're going to use almond butter. There's our almond butter right there. Make sure we get all of that in there. And we've got some liquefied melted coconut oil. So we're going to pour that in. Okay, moving on down the line. This is where we start to look at our components, our green components. Right here, again, we've got chlorella, spirulina, and then the green powder of our choice. See if we can have a good look at that. Again, chlorella, spirulina, the green powder of our choice. So we can go right here and just, boom, pop all of that chlorella right in, which is nice. Get all those pigments. It's 10% chlorophyll. We're also getting the complete protein. We're getting that medicinal dose of chlorophyll. We're also getting a medicinal dose of chlorophyll and phycocyanin, the super antioxidant blue pigment that's in spirulina. That's going in right now, so we're going to get that. Again, spirulina was here before there was an atmosphere. Spirulinas, chlorellas, marine phytoplanktons, they created our atmosphere. They created a situation where they could secrete sulfur. Then that would help to form clouds and to crystallize clouds above them in the same way that a tree grows from a small little bud and grows up eventually to produce big leaves that protect its trunk and roots from the sun. It's the same idea. This is the research I came across in the Superfoods book, is that algae don't have branches. They don't have leaves. So what do? They use the clouds as leaves. They secrete sulfur compounds. Those get evaporated up. They help to crystallize the formation of clouds. Next thing you know, you have a cloud throwing a shadow over the chlorella, the spirulina, the phytoplankton, in order to keep it from getting fried by the radiation. And through that process, an atmosphere is developed. Okay, the next piece here, these are our green powders. These are always super wonderful. There's so many amazing green powder products out now. This is a genre that was invented by my friend Mitchell May back in 1973 when he was injured in an accident. He used a combination of botanicals, raspberry powders, blueberry powders, medicinal mushrooms, and greens in order to bring himself all the way back. So we're going to put some green powder in there. You pick the one that you like. That's what we're delivering here. we're just going to use a couple sprigs, a couple leaves of mint here. This is just from our garden, just to kind of spice it up. I've got an interesting additive to go in, the super antioxidant megahydrate. Megahydrate's almost 10 times the antioxidant content of cacao, which is the highest antioxidant food. This is megahydrate right here. It's one of my favorite supplements, created by my friend Dr. Patrick Flanagan. What an amazing scientist. And we're using the powder in this form. We just opened up some capsules and we're ready to go. Okay. Now, if you want to use honey, you can use honey. You don't have to use anything. I like to use honey. You could use lucuma. You could use a little bit more tocotrienols. You could use mesquite. But we're going to get a little bit of a flavor enhancement with the honey. I like honey as an antioxidant. I have had experiences, instinctive experiences, coming off of airplanes where I craved honey. And it wasn't just that I was thirsty, that I got fried. I really feel, especially the second day after a lot of flying, I really feel the fry of what happened. I feel how I was radiated. And definitely honey is one of those things that I crave. It's anti-burn, right? Honey is great for burns, and that's kind of what's happening when you're up in that upper atmosphere in that airplane, is that radiation's burning you. Just at a subtle level, you're getting some microwaves coming through. We've got some unsweetened almond milk. We'll pop that in. And then we're going to put some ice in there. So we're going to make this a cool drink. This very green drink is actually going to be very cool. Okay, let's see if we can get those extractor blades on. We're ready for action. Here we go. Pop it onto the base. If you get stuff stuck up there, you can just pop it off, pop back on. All right, let's see what we got here. Ooh, this is looking good. Wow, that's phenomenal. It's amazing what ice does. Just getting the drink cooled off changes the whole angle of the flavor. It gives it a whole different feel. It seems like it's like refreshing now. And that's what we want. If we've been on the go, if we've been traveling, if we've been radiated on an airplane, you got to get refreshed. I'm David Avocado Wolfe, wishing you the best green drink ever. Welcome to the Immunity Blue recipe, and this recipe is centered on a really key ingredient. It's an ingredient that I wrote about in my Superfoods book. It's an ingredient that's been really near and dear to my heart for quite some time. I think it's one of the most extraordinary ingredients in all of food. And I'm going to show it to you. We're going to give you a little sampler of it. Check it out. We're going to just take this coconut water. This is just your normal coconut water right here. And we're going to add this material. It's phycocyanin. It's the blue pigments from spirulina. It's also in blue-green algae. Phycocyanin is like the original pigments that were on Earth before chlorophyll took over. And here's a sample of it. Just check out what happens when I get this into the coconut water. This is the one thing that everybody begs me for. If they see me do this little trick, they're like, what do you have? What in the world is that? I want that. Check that out. That's phycocyanin, and that is an extraordinary substance. It's like it mimics bilirubin in your metabolism. It's effective at working against every single type of condition: metabolic syndrome, inappropriate, improper carbohydrate metabolism, fat metabolism. It's immunological, it's stem cell producer, so it helps with that migration of stem cells out of the bone marrow into your blood. And whenever I use that ingredient, I always try to mix something that's directly immunological. So right here we've got the Huang Qi, or astragalus. So it's that 1-2 punch that we're always looking for. Or I would use this with reishi, or I would use this with a mushroom blend of some type. So we're always trying to get that phycocyanin with the immune system substance. The reason is because this is a stem cell migration substance. I mean, just look at the color of that. It's just incredible. And if we're going to get those stem cells to migrate, well, the reishi comes along and it takes those stem cells and says, hey, why don't you migrate over here and become immune system cells? And this is a way to enhance the immunological response in a way that's, I believe, the future. This is kind of where we're going with our understanding about nutrition. It's where immunological nutrition is going. We want to get these key ingredients into the mix. Okay, now we're going to build this up right from the bottom. We've got coconut meat right here. So the basic idea is we're going to just use this accoutrement here to deliver the phycocyanin with the immunological substance. So we've got coconut meat right here. This is our local coconut meat from our wild coconuts right here at Noni Land. It's great to have our own coconuts here. We've got quite a few coconut palms on the property now. I planted about 20 of them about 6 years ago, and a lot of those are now just coming to produce fruit at this moment. We've got bee pollen. Bee pollen is perhaps the most nutritious food in the world. I like to say with the marine phytoplanktons, with the phycocyanin, with the bee pollen, is it preloads your immune system. It kind of gives your body all the tools that it needs to construct the cells. And then the stem cells come out, and then let's say the reishi comes along or the astragalus comes along, and it allows that to be cut up into immunological weapons. That's kind of the theory behind all of this. And it's great to have a theory behind your drink because you never know. That might actually make it work better. If you have the intent behind it, that might actually make the effect a little bit stronger. So we're going to take all this bee pollen, pop it in here. Bee pollen goes really good in coconut drinks. It's one of the best combinations. We've got a little bit of lemon juice here, or lime juice. So we pop that in. And then here is that phycocyanin again. I mean, look at just, that is, there it is. Look at that. Outrageous. I'm going to just put a little bit more into here. Wow. Blue magic, blue mana, blue prana. The next ingredient is another super ingredient. It's another level of phycocyanin. It's that on that par. And it comes from the same group, those original algae or phytoplanktons that were here on the earth. And that's marine phytoplankton. This is 65% protein. It's an extraordinary source of DHA, docosahexaenoic acid. So it's immunologically reactive because it's giving us a little bit of that androgenic DHA that helps us to create that DHEA, helps us to then create testosterone, progesterone. So it has a little bit of an influence in that way. And it's also extraordinarily rich in chlorophyll. It's like 2 or 3% chlorophyll, just like spirulina is, which again is about 12 times what the best wheatgrass in the world is. So that's some angle on it that we can actually spike a little bit more chlorophyll into our body, into our diet, into our nutrition. Marine phytoplanktons are a great source of trace minerals as well. When you put all that together, you've got a really important nervous system building food. You've got an important immunological precursor food, especially for kids. And that's where this product is really going. A lot of moms are looking at this product and going, that's what I want to feed my kids instead of fish. Because where does the fish get all of its nervous system building components? It originally comes from algae. There it is right there. So we pop that in. Clean, whole source of immune system and nervous system building nutrients. Also, there's a very strong connection between algae, marine phytoplanktons, and joint health. And this is another piece of the puzzle. So if we want to develop that nervous system, joint health, and immunological health, then we want to start using marine phytoplankton more because it's clean. Fish, you don't know what's in it. We don't know how much mercury is in it. We don't know how many chemicals have worked their way into fish, but we know it's getting worse and worse. And by probably within another 100 years, we will have fished out cod out of the ocean, and many, like herring, that's another one that's on its way out. And it's just because we've overfished the oceans. We've got to go to a clean, natural source of these marine phytoplanktons so that because that's what these fish eat actually. So we just go right to the source. The next thing here is going to be our immunological component, which in this case is going to be astragalus. So there's astragalus right there. We're going to pop that in. This could be medicinal mushrooms. It could be whatever one you want. I like using mycelium biomass. So you could take a 24 mushroom blend, mycelium biomass. That could go in here because it's got great taste. Let's use a little bit of honey to deliver it, because this is something where we got so many powerful ingredients here. Now we got to deliver it. Honey is what delivers it. It opens up the receptor sites. That insulin opens up the receptor sites to feed the cells, and we want to deliver right with all that honey, all these incredible nutrients that are in these superfoods and super herbs. Okay, we got one in there. Now let's go for two. There we go. Okay, this is looking good. You can't quite get over it. Check it out. I've done this in raw food places all over the world, and everybody is begging me for this substance. What in the world is that? Again, that's phycocyanin. That's the blue pigments of algae. It's one of the great nutrients on this whole planet. You have that, you got a lot. So we're going to pop that in here, and we're going to get ready to blend. Extractor blades are on. Pop it onto the NutriBullet base. Here we go. Now, if I want to chill that down, I can add another little angle on it. This is really, really nice. You see, these marine phytoplanktons are actually, they're growing in cold oceans. The DHA, the oils, the EPA, the phospholipids are to protect marine life from the cold. So they're very adaptogenic to the cold, and I like that whole combination on ice. So I'm going to throw a couple of ice cubes in there, and we're going to just see if we can do this a little chilled. Actually, we'll get all the ice cubes in there. They all fit great. Let's pop it back on there, and that way we'll get a little bit of a slushy effect happening. We'll pop it back on. Here we go. All right. Let's see what we got here. Oh, this is going to be delicious, nutritious, delightful, and delectable. Look at that color. It's almost a teal. It's like a teal color. Here we go. That's just about perfect. That's perfection right there. Wow, fantastic. This is what you can serve instead of wine. Whole different type of nightcap. I'm David Avocado Wolfe, Immunity Blue. Here we go. Welcome to the Blood Builder, and every Blood Builder recipe should start with a fresh juice because that chlorophyll, that's your blood. That osmotic, sodium-rich celery juice, that's your blood. The cucumber juice that comes through and comes out your kidneys, well, the kidneys are filtering off your blood, so the cucumber goes right into your blood. What we have here is a cucumber celery juice, and we've also added some ginger juice. There's been apple, and then there is a little bit of lime. And so we get that really beautiful flavor right across. But the key is celery, cucumber. That should really be the basis of every juice, and that's how we build that blood. We get that really gentle effect from the celery and cucumber. We get the liquid in, and we get just that subtle bit of chlorophyll to get things started. What we're going to do here, though, is we're going to actually take that juice and blend it into these ingredients. These are things that happen in raw food restaurants. I was at a raw food restaurant in Florida recently, and we had a similar type of a drink where we took the juice and then blended things into it, and that was on their menu. What we have over here, we've got our coconut meat, and we've got our coconut water. Coconut water is electrolytic. Our blood is electrolytic. This is the greatest electrolyte ever. And what we like to do is get that in there with the juice whenever possible. That's the old Ann Wigmore trick. She would take a chlorophyll-rich juice and mix it with coconut water, and that's the two aspects of your blood. This is like your blood plasma. That's what the coconut water is. But then here, this is your hemoglobin. And when you put those two together, you're rejuvenating blood. This is really an advancement on what Ann Wigmore had done all those years ago. We've just taken it to an extra level. We put some coconut meat in there and some avocado to kind of stabilize blood sugar so we get that long-term fuel and that long-term energy, get those flavors. When we have the saturated fat here, obviously that's great fuel. It burns off real cleanly. But over here with the avocado, we get that carbon-7 sugar. It's a really cool, even burning sugar, gives you a lot of long-term energy. And then we'll move to the other ingredients. But let's get these all together. We're going to start constructing this in our NutriBullet here. So let's put the coconut meat in. And then we'll put the avocado in, just a half of an avocado. We'll wait to put these beverages in later because you know how I work. If you get the other ingredients that you can manage first, once you put the liquid in there, if you make a mistake, if you accidentally dump the wrong thing in there, you can't fish it out and you pretty much lose it. So I like to keep the dry ingredients or the simple to control ingredients in first, liquid ingredients go in last. Next one is spirulina. I have a friend of mine, she had a miscarriage and she bled for 60 straight days as a vegan. And she attributed her ability to not become anemic. She did not become anemic to the intake of large amounts of cacao and spirulina in order to rebuild blood. And spirulina has that property, cacao has that property. So we're going to get this spirulina in here. You can see how rich it is. I mean, look at that color. That's the chlorophyll. That's blood right there. So we're going to pop that in. There's a really interesting thing in Taoism, in Chinese medicine. You have these three treasures, Jing, Shen, and Qi. But there's another piece, which is blood. That's your river of your life. That's a very important aspect of your overall health. You've got to figure out, okay, am I too dehydrated? Because if you are, your river of life's running dirty. It's running dehydrated. You need to get that liquid in order to get everything running and dispersed so everything's moving and you don't get that agglutination where things become soupy in the blood. This spirulina addition right here is going to give us a chlorophyll load that's about 12 times the best wheatgrass in the world. 12 times. That's a significant amount of chlorophyll. Next one is astragalus. And astragalus is immunological. Part of your bloodstream, part of that river of life is your white blood cells. We need food for the white blood cells. Astragalus is that huang qi. It brings that upward moving qi into your body as well, that levity. And I always like to sneak in directly immunological substances into my diet whenever possible. We're doing that with astragalus right here with the blood builder. Next is salt or sodium. And obviously we don't want table salt ever. We don't want any kind of salt that's ever come out of a factory. If we can avoid it, not even rock salt. The best type of salt is sea salt. This is an Arctic sea salt, and this is part of blood chemistry. We're not a lake on the inside. And when I say the river of life, that's not even really true either. We're really salty. We're actually a salty ocean on the inside. So we need those electrolytes from salt. Yes, coconut water has electrolytes. And when you have a little bit more of the electrolytes from a sea salt like this, you get a little bit more of that snap, that magic of the electricity of life, because that's what conducts it, are those electrolytes. So I'm just going to put I'll just do 2 pinches of that Arctic salt into the mix. All right, we're ready for the mix down. Here we go. The blood builder, we're going to put our juice in, celery, cucumber with our accoutrement added, and then the coconut water. Again, bringing it back to Ann Wigmore. Ooh, we almost topped off this NutriBullet. I think we're going to be able to do it. We're going to see if we can fit it all in there. Get the extractor blades on. And here we go. Look how easy this is. Ann Wigmore, we love you. We're just taking what you did and we're just adding a little bit more to it. Here we go. You can see the consistency here is amazing. The consistency is thick, it's creamy, and I'm going to get out my favorite glass straw instead of a plastic straw and drink that and see how it goes. Yep, that's delicious. Amazing. You pick up the cucumber and the lime. You can build your blood and enjoy the process too. Cheers. This is the Super Electrolyte Lemonade Superhero Cleanser. Try that in one mouthful. And we're going to construct it from the ground up. First ingredient, of course, has got to be lemon and lime. And what I've got here is I've got a lime that I picked off my tree. just this morning. And I want to show you how I fillet a lime. So let's see if we can pick this up right here. We've got the knife. So what I'd like to do is I take off both ends. So that's the bottom and the top, like that. Take off both ends. And then gently come around and just, I want to keep that pith. That's where the bioflavonoids are. That's where the action is. That's where the real nutrition is. So I want to keep as much as possible. I can actually eat the lime peel if I want to, and it's good, actually. Very powerful anti-estrogen qualities in the lime pith. If you want to get that bad estrogen out of your body, break down that cellulite, get your metabolism rocking, you want to have a little bit of that skin. I'll just leave a little bit like that on there. And I go around like that. This is what I do with grapefruits. This is what I do with oranges. This is what I do with limes. And this is what I'm doing with this lime right now. Let's go right here to this final piece right there. Boom. So now we've got a pretty good situation. We've got a little bit of that on there. It's like a zest. And that's going to give us that extra power that this lime has. I'm going to cut it in half. And we're going to start it out with just half a lime. Boom. Pop that in there. And then I've got lemon over here. I'm going to do half the lemon. We might do more, but I'm going to need to see, actually I need to see if there's any seeds in here, because sometimes the seeds can really add a bitter flavor. That's okay. The lemon and lime seeds and the grapefruit seeds and orange seeds have very powerful antifungal effects. They're actually really good for your immune system. That's why we have that grapefruit seed extract. It's a powerful component of the overall citrus fruit, but we don't want to do too much in there, because sometimes when these get pulverized in a NutriBullet or any blender, they get little shards and little pieces that come off that, you know, they kind of stick in your throat or they don't taste very good. So I like to pop a few of them out anyway. Let's see. I think we got most of them. Maybe there's one more in there. Oh, yep, there's one more in there. So I pop that out. Yeah, there we go. Okay, boom. And we got about half a lime and half a lemon in there. We're ready to start building this thing. I'll do a little bit. I think we can get away with a little bit more. Let's do another half there, and we'll do another half of this here. See if we got, oh, is that a seed? Yes, there is. There's a seed in there. Again, they're perfectly safe to eat those seeds, but I like to pick them out. Wanted to show you that technique. Now, the next ingredient is going to be MSM, and MSM is some pretty potent stuff, so you got to find the right dosage for you. We used to have MSM eating contests. They were called golf ball contests. You would get a golf ball sized piece of MSM, and usually when you had a big bottle of MSM, some of it would actually get a little bit hardened by moisture, and you could get a golf ball sized chunk and you throw it in the back of your throat and you drink it down, and it was like a contest back in the day. We don't do that as much anymore, but I do remember how difficult that was. So you got to modulate the MSM to be the right amount of what you need. 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams is really nice. This is probably 2,000 milligrams full. Actually, that's okay. We got the whole thing in there. That'll work. Okay, the next one is actually, before we get there, is, yeah, let's do this. Let's look at this right here. I want you to see this. You can see I've got a little bird pepper. This is a local pepper here. This could be cayenne pepper. This could be any kind of hot pepper. It could be a Scotch bonnet pepper. It could be habanero. I like to get that into this super electrolyte lemonade superhero cleanser, because you need that fire to cut into the estrogen, that fire to cut into the calcium, that fire to cut in to the dirt, the internal dirt. This is about an internal cleansing, an internal soap. And the way we're going to do that is we've got to get some of this fire, these peppers. These are the wild Hawaiian bird peppers from the front yard, and they rock it. So boom, look at that chunk. We're going to throw that in there. Now I can get a little bit more in there and probably get away with it, but it's going to be some fire here. This stuff's going to work. Let's put it that way. And the seeds are what you got to be careful of. I got to tell you that. See all these little seeds that are popping out? See all that stuff? You get those in that drink, that's going to be hotter than you can believe. So I just like to get those off and keep just that skin piece. That right there. And we'll just drop that in. That's where we're gonna go right now. That's all we're gonna do right now. We got some noni powder, so this is actual noni. I like the noni citrus combo. That's why it's Morinda citrifolia. That's the name of noni. You've probably been wondering, what the heck's all this? I bet you've been wondering that. What is all that right there? That's all noni. This is noni right here. Bam, look at that. There's your noni. And then when it gets dried into a powder, it's like that. And when it gets super, super ripe, oh, dare I get in here, it gets like that. You can't smell this because it's on a video, but this stuff is stinky. It smells like blue cheese dressing on steroids. So throw that back in there. But what we're doing here is we're collecting the juice off the bottom. And in fact, I think I'm going to have to do this for you guys. I'm going to actually have to collect a little bit of this juice off this bottom. We're going to do this one right here. So I'm going to throw some noni powder in there. Boom. And because we're in Hawaii and it's that extra special moment, we're actually going to throw some real noni juice into the mix. So watch this. This is what I do in the morning when I come down. You've seen noni juice in the stores? This is the real noni juice. Here it is right here. Watch this. You got to be careful that it doesn't all come flying out. Here we go. And that's like a vinegar. So what's sold as noni juice is actually a noni vinegar. If you let the fruit rot like we're doing here, it actually releases this vinegar compound. Again, that's that noni juice. But it's more of a tonic, actually. So noni vinegar or noni juice is more of a tonic. You can do that every day. If you try to blast down these nonis into your body every single day, you can do it, but it's going to be a ride. It's a difficult ride. This is more of a tonic, something you can do every day. And now we got a serious cleanser coming at you here. We've got some zeolite right here. That's just liquid zeolite. That's a really powerful compound, very Hawaiian type of compound, because several islands over, we've got a volcano spewing lava right into the ocean. And when that volcano hits the lava into the ocean, there's an expansion and almost like a sponge you've seen before. Sometimes those sea sponges, those kind of rocks with all those pores in it, that's what happens to the lava. It opens up into pores like that. That's what zeolite is. Whenever the ocean has been hit by lava, then you have the formation of zeolite. So we've got that in there, and that has a very strong attraction for very positively charged particles. That's the same thing is true with fulvic acid. So we've got fulvic acid sitting right here. We've got the same kind of story. So we're getting the zeolite fulvic combo. That's a heck of a detox combo. So just for detox, this is something you got to kind of stomach down if you're really doing a cleanse. We just did a cleanse with this kind of stuff in Costa Rica. It was a 10-day cleanse, and it was a 5-day fast in the middle of that. Stuff works. I mean, it was an incredible time, and it was pretty challenging for me because I had to do all the yoga, teach all the classes, and do the whole cleanse with everybody as well. And I have to say, come like 8 at night, I was really gassing. But I powered through, and I think the noni got me there, this noni vinegar or noni juice. We're going to get a little bit of salt in there, so that's kind of our scrub, like a salt scrub. I'm going to do 1 pinch of sea salt, 2 pinches of sea salt. This is just good upgrade on Master Cleanse. You've seen my upgrades on Master Cleanse. This is the Super Electrolyte Lemonade Superhero Cleanser. It's a similar idea. I like to get a little bit of honey in there just to make the whole thing work, because otherwise it's pretty full on. So we get 1 in there, boom. And then we're going to put a second one in there. You don't have to use honey. You can just skip that. If you're doing a cleanse, you want to do no carbohydrate, no problem. You don't have to use honey. Going to get that in there. And I've got some spring water over here to bring it all together. So here's our spring water. Just flip it around right there. Check out the Max line. And we're going to put on our extractor blades. Now we got a drink. This is going to be ferocious. Here we go. All right, now, this is going to be good stuff. Now we've got the electrolytes, we got that salt in there, we've got the lemon and lime, we've got the MSM in there, we've got the honey and different kinds of noni, and then those 2 heavy detox products, fulvic and zeolite. This is going to give us the goods. This is going to bring home the bacon, so to speak. Here we go. Let's see what we got. Yep, that's intense. And this is the type of thing that we were drinking every day when I was in Costa Rica on that cleanse. And I'll tell you what, you get this down and you feel the magic and you feel the benefits, and especially after it's all done, wow, it's incredible. And we were able to get in 10 days a cleanse that might have normally taken 20 days, but we were able to get these intense cleansers into our bodies and really work with them, and then that was accelerating our progress. I'm David Avocado Wolfe, wishing you the best lemonade ever. this is our unwanted guest removal tonic. And what can happen is that things can latch onto us and perhaps even get a free ride. We can have stowaways, castaways, and unwanted guests in our intestinal tract, in our liver, in our digestive tract, and maybe even in our organs. And one of the common approaches through diet is to actually help get those unwanted guests moving on to their next destination or moving on to their early grave. Nobody wants any excess unwanted guests in their body, and of course unwanted guests means organisms that are taking away from you and not giving anything. Whether those are viral organisms, bacteria, fungi, mold, yeasts, or even larger organisms that are so troubling to even talk about that we're not even going to talk about them. But this is the type of approach that you can use to get them removed. And we're going to construct a beverage that does just that. Now we've got beet juice right here, we've got pear juice, we've got coconut kefir. Let's start here with the coconut kefir. The coconut kefir is filled with organisms that are friendly to us. It's probiotic. That means they're naturally unfriendly to unwanted guests. So they create an environment the unwanted guests don't like. And that's a battle that's always going on. The dysbiotic organisms, the organisms that are trying to break us down, are always trying to get the upper hand on our probiotics that are trying to build us up. So our probiotics are our allies. These are allies to life, and we want as many of these coming in as possible. That's why I always recommend one fermented live cultured drink or food each day so you can help with those reinforcements, those allies that are constantly landing at Normandy. That constant D-Day is a really bad thing for unwanted guests. The pear juice, there's old lore about this, that pear juice has a very good effect at driving unwanted guests out of the digestive tract. And I had a friend who actually was at a pear orchard that was going to be mowed down. They were literally going to mow it down within a week. So she was there in those last 7 days and did a pear juice fast. And in fact, at the end of that week, she did get some things out that were surprising to her. So pear, again, is one of these amazing foods that we don't really know a lot about. We hear a lot about apples, but pears are much hardier. They're much longer lived. They're much stronger, much more vital food. And actually, I prefer pears to apples myself. Okay, then we've got our lime juice. So that's lime juice right there that's been prepared for us. And we've got our ginger juice over here. So there's some ginger juice. Ginger is some powerful stuff. That's that sulfur oil that's in the ginger, that spice that creates an environment that little critters in there just don't like. They don't want to be around those spices and oils. They want a nice, easy time in there, feeding on excess fat, feeding on excess carbohydrate, feeding on excess protein. Okay, so let's start putting it together. Let's get the lemon juice in here. Boom, that's the juice of one lemon. And then we're going to get some ginger juice in here. So we got that there. And then we've got some Quinton sea plasma. So this is just good terrain modification material. Our inner terrain it's a community. Our inner terrain is a geology. Our inner terrain is a landscape. And this particular product right here, the Quinton sea plasma, is designed to nourish that landscape, to change the terrain. It was that old Béchamp versus Pasteur battle. Béchamp said it's the terrain, Pasteur said it's the organism. And what it really turns out, it's a combination of both, but it's about 80% terrain, 20% organism, as far as I can tell. And that means that you got to get your terrain in order, and then it makes it harder for those organisms to be there. And this is a terrain modification sea plasma. It's actually collected in the Antarctic when the phytoplankton blooms, and the stuff is incredible, tastes incredible, and I'm going to pop some of it in there. It's like ocean water. Okay, so now we've got, you can see the osmotic pressure of that's so high, it just doesn't want to come out. We've got that in there. Now we're going to go down here. If you're going to use some peppermint oil, you got to use 1 drop. This stuff is really, really potent. This is a little bit lighter of a peppermint. This is actually called a peppermint spirit. So I'm going to use 1 drop. But if you have peppermint oil at home, it's 1 small drop. I just want to warn you about that. So we're going to do 1 drop. Boom, there it is. So we've got that. Now over here, we've got a real favorite, antiviral remover of unwanted guests. It's loaded with oleorupine, which is in olive oil. It's in olive leaf. It's in olives themselves. It's in the bark of the olive tree. It's in the root bark of the olive tree. And oleorupine is a natural aromatase inhibitor, so it's a very good longevity substance. It's one of the reasons why olive oil is considered one of the great longevity substances. It's been dialed down to being that substance that appears to be where most of the magic is occurring. Well, we get it here in this olive leaf extract. So I'm going to shake this up, and let's see what we're going to do here. I think we're going to do a whole squirt of this in here. This stuff is pretty potent, so we'll do 1, 2, and little critters that are hanging out for a free ride, stowaways, castaways, hobos, they're going to be taking the road right here as soon as you get some olive leaf extract in there. The cucurbit seeds, any melon seed, any cucumber seed, pumpkin seeds, squash seeds, all have very powerful effects at cleansing out the intestines of unwanted guests. What we've done here is we've taken some pumpkin seed and some ground up pumpkin seed that's kind of mixed together. You can see they're both in there. And we're going to pop that in there. That's going to be the main calorie that's going to be in here. This is probably the simplest and easiest way to go about it. But these Lady Godiva pumpkin seeds, the common pumpkin seeds, aren't nearly as powerful as if you took cantaloupe seeds and you blended and strained them. That's powerful stuff right there. You make a cantaloupe seed milk or a honeydew seed milk. Blend it, strain it. So you blend it in water, strain it off. Blend it in honeydew melon juice, strain it off. You can do that with squash. If you remember when you were a kid, like when I was back in the 70s growing up, we had the big pumpkin seeds, and we'd be making jack-o'-lanterns, and we'd pull those seeds out and then we'd dry them. Those big seeds actually have a better effect than these small Lady Godiva seeds, but this is easy to see, easy to work with. Let's go for it. So we're going to pop those in there. Okay, now we're going to start adding our cool little ingredients here. We've got our coconut kefir, so that's going to go in. And then we got our pear juice. I always thought that was a great name, like a superhero name, pears. So we're going to put pears in there. And then we've got some beet juice. And beet juice, look at the color of that. That is just a liver tonic right there. It doesn't get better than that. The only thing I've ever seen that looks like that in the plant world is saguaro cactus fruit, the giant iconic cactus of the Arizona desert. Other than that, really hard to find that depth of pigment, that richness. That's where the betaine is. That's where the liver purification is happening. We're going to pop that in there. Look at that. That's blood right there. That's a blood purifier, blood cleanser. Okay. Our unwanted guest removal tonic is now ready for the blender. Here we go. NutriBullet blast off. All right. This is what it's all about. Brilliant colors. Lots of energy flying around. Look at that. Lots of energy. Here we go. Take a look at this. Totally delicious. That's amazing, actually. That is really, really good. It's like beet, lemon, and ginger juice with a little bit extra, a little bit of the additives. There you go. Let's get those unwanted guests moving to the next destination. See you at the next recipe.